We created rules for a haunted house that shouldn't exist. Now, as adults, we found a house matching its description. Part 1. The rules. The house. We were apartment kids. No neighborhood. No ranch-style houses tucked neatly into a suburb with backyard swing sets and grill-out birthday parties. When we went trick-or-treating, it was always in someone else's neighborhood. Because of that and other reasons I'll get to, we made up a haunted house when we were kids. We gave it rules because Patrick said that rules were important for such things. It was kind of a tradition for us, and it was also something we worked at year-round. Jennifer said that haunted houses, the real ones, never slept. Back then the four of us in our tight-knit group partly believed in that stuff. Even as we drew pictures and sometimes detailed diagrams of the house's floors, and added in new rules or tweaked the ones we had, always in Greg's sketchbooks that he kept buying under his parents' noses to feed his unfortunate habit of drawing disturbing images. Even though we made it all up, our excited, serious chatter showed how much we wanted to breathe life into it. Now we're adults. Patrick is a real estate agent, Jennifer is in pre-med at university, Greg works in advertising, and I alternate between construction and retail. It was Patrick who found the house between making his rounds as a real estate agent. I think he had been on his way to show off one of the properties he was representing when he spotted the house. He had to come back to it later, when he wasn't being tailed by prospective homeowners. A 5-story Victorian with steep gabled roofs, conical tower-like extensions, and large bay windows that were all boarded up, it stuck out like a giant's rotting but elaborate sore thumb among a neighborhood of smaller houses that Patrick had been driving through to get to another neighborhood. The hedges and lawn were wildly overgrown. Kudzu and other vines clung to the house's siding. But it was something on the front porch that clinched it for Patrick. He went looking for it when he came back. To the right of the door, there were 3 large doll heads that had been slashed open and used as pots for plants. Dingy-looking things bearing fruit that was so far rotted that it resembled old shoe leather, we had never decided exactly would be growing there, lay propped up and dying in those makeshift doll head pots. He sent us pictures. That got us there as soon as our schedules aligned. Patrick had talked with some of his real estate colleague buddies, connections and so on, and had gotten what he needed for permission to access the old house. So a few weeks later there we all were, the 4 of us, standing on the lawn of a house we had sketched up and chattered about for many days as kids in our rooms while our parents had watched TV or played cards in the close confines of our apartment building. "Well, this is something, isn't it?" Jennifer said. "Patrick, I know this is your doing. But, wow, you went to some great lengths for this prank. I'm going to just let myself enjoy it because you put in so much effort." Patrick shoved his hands in the pockets of his sports coat. His eyes were bloodshot. "Isn't my doing?" "Yeah," I said, "this would be an extravagant prank, and for what purpose?" I waited for Patrick to answer, but he just stood there staring at the house. I was thankful that I was wearing jeans and not khaki shorts, because the front lawn was nearly up to our knees. "We should go over the rules again," Greg said. Incredibly, he was carrying a sketchbook in his hands. "Are you insane?" Jennifer said. "You can't think that would matter now." "But what if it does?" Greg said. "What if it matters more now than it did then?" "Unbelievable," Jennifer said. "So let's go over the rules again," Patrick said glumly. He seemed to be trying to peer into the windows despite their being boarded up. Greg opened the sketchbook he had been carrying. "Number 1, he said. "Wait," I said, "is that one of your sketchbooks from when we were kids?" Greg sneered. "I wish. I think my parents found the old things and threw them away while we were moving out of the apartment. But I remembered the rules, more or less, because I read through them so often. So I wrote them down again. The language is a little different now because I'm older and, I'd like to think, wiser, but they should basically be the same." "We read through those rules so often," Jennifer said. Together. We all faced the house as Greg went through the rules. Here they are. Never knock on the front door with your fist. If you want entry to the house, place your right hand on the metal knocker and your left hand over your eyes. If someone is with you, they should be covering their eyes as well. Use the knocker 3 times. Someone will open the door for you. Keep your eyes closed and covered, and count to 3. You don't want to see who opened the door for you. After 3 seconds, you can open your eyes and go inside. But know that in doing so you are entering into an agreement with the entities in the house. It's a simple agreement. You get to go inside, but they get to harm you if you break the rules. By entering the house, you're giving consent. Leave any electronic devices in a cubbyhole in the wall near the front door. You can retrieve them if and when you leave. Walk, but do not run. If you walk, the entities in the house will only walk. If you run, they run, and they will chase after you if you run. They have gotten very fast from chasing people over the years. On each floor you must solve a puzzle. If you fail the puzzle or flee the puzzle, the entities will come after you. Successfully solving the puzzle will grant you entry to the stairs. If you go up the stairs without solving the puzzle or try to go beyond the next floor, Walt the Stairman will come after you. Walt the Stairman is an entity that spends its time devising ways to torture others with stairs. It has gotten creative over the years from the people who have tried to cheat. There is a treasure at the very top of the house, in the attic. This is the reason why you are here now, and why you are going over the rules again. This is the reason you go inside and risk your lives. This treasure is worth the risk. Geez, Jennifer said, is that how we wrote it back then? Greg cleared his throat. Well, basically. I'd like to think that my diction is a little better now than it was back then. He laughed, but awkwardly. But did we include the bit about the reason why you are here now going over the rules again? Jennifer said. I mean, I do remember the treasure and everything. How could we forget about the treasure? I said, chasing it with my own nervous laughter. What I'm saying is, Jennifer went on, seems like we almost expected ourselves to be here now. Going over the rules again. Seems like you may have fudged that part. Which makes me think that Greg is in on the prank with Patrick. Bravo, boys. I'm all for it. I don't mind being on the tail end of a prank if it's going to be entertaining. Let's do it. Wait, I said. Are we sure we want to do this? What if one of us isn't in on it? We never put much into the puzzles themselves, not the details. They could be anything. You're going to tell me you believe in ghosts? Jennifer said. We never explicitly said whether it was ghosts, I said. Jennifer tilted her head. What are you trying to imply? Spirits? Aliens? Scottish house elves in the American Deep South? Maybe, I said. Or maybe it was just someone else. Greg said his sketchbooks disappeared. I just think we should be careful about this. Guys, Greg said, and gal. Don't sweat it. I've been thinking about it ahead of time. I typed up a message to send off to some friends who wouldn't call me wacko after the fact. It will send automatically in the event I'm not back to my phone and deleting it by 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. It will also send them the location of this house. I'm going to leave my phone in the car. Well, if something happens to us before 3 or before your friends get here, I began. I wonder what the treasure could be, Patrick said. Then, so low I almost couldn't hear him, tired of this rat race. Bravo, Patrick, Jennifer said. Now lead on. It's going to get dark out here soon, and I'd rather get this show on the road while it's still light out. Or show in the house. However you want to put it. We've got puzzles to solve, and we've got stairs to climb. Yeah, Pat, Greg said. Just pretend we're some folks looking to buy us a nice spooky house. Do your thing. We went up the front porch. Its old wood creaked under the collective weight of the four of us. I glanced once at the doll head pots with their dying plants, and I wondered how long they had been dying. Whether or not it was all a hoax, I figured they were probably never alive to begin with. We asked each other if we were all ready. Butterflies in our stomachs. Hearts in our throats. Patrick planted himself at the front, put his right hand on the knocker. He nodded at us. We nodded back. And we covered our eyes.